Hello students, today I am starting with the actual part of the syllabus. What was done in the previous two lectures was only the revision of the vector. So today's topic is the fields. In mathematics, we come across the concept of function. The function of x, y, z, t, which means this function depends upon some independent variables x, y, z and t. In physics, these functions are nothing but physical quantities. Now these functions has different values at different position and at different time. The cluster of these functions is called as a field. So fields are basically physical quantities, but they are group of physical quantities. The fields are of two types. One is a scalar field, second is vector field. A scalar field, these are the functions which have only magnitude, whereas vector field is a function which has magnitude as well as direction. The scalar field are of two types. First, steady state scalar field. Second, time dependent scalar field. A steady state scalar field, that function does not depend on the time, but it depends on the position. Example, the work done to lift the body from the surface of the earth to the certain height, it does not depend upon the time, but it depends only on the position. So it is a steady state scalar field. The second, time dependent scalar field. Now this scalar field depends on time, means it varies with the time. It may or may not depend on the position. Example, if you take a metal rod, hit it at one end, then the different points of this metal rod get heated, and as one goes away from that point where it is heated, the temperature become less and less. So temperature is a scalar physical quantity, and at a given point on the rod, with the time, the temperature goes on increasing. So that is, temperature takes a different values. So it depends on time, and it is an example of time dependent scalar field. This second type is a vector field. Vector field are functions or physical quantities which have magnitude as well as direction. Again, there are two types, steady state vector field and time dependent vector field. In the steady state vector field, these vector physical quantities are independent of the time. Example, a velocity of the body in uniform motion. The velocity remains constant, so it does not depend upon the time, so it is steady state vector field. The second term is time dependent vector field. So here this physical quantity depends on the time, or it may or may not depend upon the position. Example, the velocity in the non-uniform motion, at different time it will have a different value. So this velocity in non-uniform motion is time dependent vector field. In the electrostatics, we come across two physical quantities. One is potential, which is a scalar field. Second is the electric field, which is a vector field. Next, we'll see the time derivatives of product of fields. Now, in the three equations which are written here, we'll use the formula from the calculus, which is a derivative of the product. So, derivative of uv, so we write uv dash is the first function into derivative of the second function plus the derivative of the first function into second function. So, this formula we are going to use for the time derivatives of the product of the function. The first one is time derivative, means d by dt of phi into a. See, phi is a scalar function and vector a is a vector function, and by using the derivative of product, see here it is the first function into derivative of second function plus derivative of first function into second function. In the second equation, it is the derivative of the dot product. So, d by dt of vector a dot vector b. Again we use derivative of the product formula. There is the first function into derivative of the second function plus derivative of first function into the second function. But remember that these are the vectors, so there should be dot here. Since the dot is here, there should be dot between these, because vector A is the vector quantity, vector dB by dt, it is a vector quantity. Similarly, there should be dot in between this, because both are vectors and we are finding here derivative of the dot product of two vectors. In same way, in the third case, the derivative of vector A cross vector B, and by using the derivative of product formula, first vector into second vector, derivative of the second plus the derivative of the first into a second. And again, since there is a cross here, so between these two, because both are vectors, you have to put the cross here and here. But here, there is no dot or cross, because this is scalar quantity and is the vector quantity. In this chapter and also in the electrostatics and the magnetostatics, we will come across certain symbols which are used throughout. So, those symbols and the notations we will see now. What are they? Now, this symbol is a delta. Now, this symbol you used in, especially in chemistry, delta x, whereas in physics we use dx. Now, the difference between delta x and dx is delta x is a small quantity, whereas dx is small quantity and it is so small it is tending to 0. Then second symbol is this inverted delta, that is symbol is called as a del. So, this symbol del we will be using throughout electromagnetic theory. The next is a derivative. Now, when we say like this d by dx, it is the ordinary derivative. It can be d by dy or d by dz. So, when we say ordinary derivative, when you differentiate all x, y, z, or if time is there, that is a variable. Then another type of derivative is a partial derivative, and it is represented as dou by dou x. So, here you suppose if you differentiate partially with respect of some function, then if it is with respect to x, y, z and t is to be taken as constant. Suppose it is dou by dou y, then x, z, time is to be taken as constant. If it is dou by dou z, then x, y is to be taken constant. In mathematics, we come across mathematical operators. Mathematical operators are operators when it is operated on any function, it changes that function. Del operator is a mathematical operator. It is a vector operator. It is a vector quantity and it is given in terms of partial derivatives. So vector del, it is called as a del operator. It is defined as dou by dou x I cap plus dou by dou y j cap plus dou by dou z k cap. So which means a partial derivative with respect to x into I cap plus partial derivative with respect to y j cap plus partial derivative with respect to z k cap. Now this dou by dou x, dou by dou y and dou by dou z, they are called as the components of the given vector. Now this del operator can be operated on a scalar function. It can be operated also on the vector function. Now first let us see what happens when del operator is operated on the scalar function. So here scalar function is phi. So it depends upon independent variable x, y and z. Now if this del operator is operated on this scalar function, then the resulting quantity is called as a gradient and we read it as grad phi, that is del phi, and when you operate this del on the function phi, you get this dou phi by dou x I cap plus dou phi by dou y j cap plus dou phi by dou z k cap. Here the dou phi by dou x, dou phi by dou y and dou phi by dou z, they are component of the gradient of the scalar function. Now let us apply it for one problem. So you are given a function phi equal to e raised to x sin of y ln z. Now ln z means log z to the base e. See, if you simply write log of z, there is log z to the base 10. So instead of writing log z to the base e, we write ln z. So now we want to find out a gradient of the scalar function. So by definition of this gradient of the scalar function, that is the grad phi or del phi. So this is the formula for that. And now here phi equal to e raised to x sin y ln z. Here also that function is written. Here also function is written. Now here this we are partially differentiating with respect to x. So we have to treat y and z as constant. So when you differentiate this, so the derivative of e raised to x with respect to x partially is e raised to x. Now here y and z are constant, so it comes as a constant multiple. So we get e raised to x sin y ln z and that I cap is there. In second term, when you differentiate partially with respect to y, then x and z is to be treated as constant. So here the partial derivative with respect to y of sin of y is cos of y. Now since x and z are to be treated as constant, that e raised to x and ln z comes as a constant multiple. Then in the third term, when you differentiate partially with respect to z, the x and y are to be treated as constant, and when it is partially different with respect to z, then ln z, it becomes 1 by z, because derivative of ln z with respect to z is 1 by z, and here the x and y is constant, so this e raised to x and sin of y, it comes as a constant multiple. Now here we will find the relation between gradient and what is called as the directional derivatives. Now this directional derivative, we use this as a formula to simplify certain equations in the electromagnetic theory. You are given a scalar function phi x comma y comma z, then this is a position vector which is already defined earlier, vector r equal to xi cap plus y j cap plus z k cap. Then we find the difference here, that is d vector r equal to dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap. Then let us consider what is called the total differential of phi. So in mathematics, in the calculus, the total differential is defined like this: d phi equal to dou phi by dou x dx plus dou phi by dou y dy plus dou phi by dou z dz. Basically, the total differential is used. Suppose x, y and z changes by small amount. So how much whole function will change? So for that purpose, total differential is used. Now in this case, here, if you see this equation, now dou phi by dou x, dou phi by dou y and dou phi by dou z, they are the component of del gradient function. Then dx, dy, dz are the component of vector dr. So this is nothing but sum of the product of the component of gradient and dr. So this is nothing but a dot product of that grade of phi and dr. Next, we divide this by dr, and then d phi by dr is called as a directional derivative.